Hello everyone, Landy Laukkanen here. Welcome to the third masterclass in this four-part series. The first was all about fear. Why we feel fear, how it sits in our body, how to work with fear. I shared a practice I do with my clients called heart congruence. We're going to actually do this practice together today. The second masterclass is all about our intuition. Fear blocks our intuition. And I talked about the different types of intuition, the local, the biological gut intuition that we all are born with, and that we also all have access to this divine non-local intuition, which is, not confined by any time and space or past knowledge. So this beautiful connection with infinite consciousness, and that we receive our intuition in different ways. Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, the heart. The power of the heart, and really why this whole program, this whole training is called Heartfulness. So today I would like you to reflect on a time where you felt heartbroken. Maybe a relationship ended, or there was a situation where, you really just felt a real heaviness in your heart. And I want you to kind of focus on that moment where perhaps you fell to your knees, or you had a big emotional release. But in that moment, we often surrender. We often, get to that point where we're just like, show me the way, or I surrender this situation over to a higher power. And we often do this without any knowledge of knowing why we've even done it. And so when the heart is affected, and because I'm going to explain to you that it's been proved that the heart brain that we have can actually be more powerful than our cranial brain, because it is obviously our emotions are so dominant. Our feelings become our words, become our actions, become our beliefs. And when we have beliefs that we want to change about ourselves and the world around us, this is a process that takes time. And this is why when we really understand the power of the heart, and we start to be able to work with the electromagnetic field of the heart, and we understand it's the heart's intelligence, we can get real clarity on how to kind of live a magical life and be able to overcome overwhelming feelings. So, if you have ever had a situation where your heart's been broken, it takes time. Your heart takes time, and it may never truly feel whole again. There may be parts of you that are still heartbroken. I went through a really heartbreaking divorce 8 years ago now, and I know that there's still trauma in my heart from that, despite all the meditations that I do and the forgiveness that I've practiced towards myself and others involved in that situation. When our heart is broken, it can take a long time for it to be pieced back together. But I want to share with you that in the Japanese culture, when something's broken, they actually fix a vase or an ornament with gold, liquid gold. And there's a beautiful philosophy that it's the broken parts of us that actually create who we are. And I really love that analogy. So, heartbreak, having a broken heart is really the ultimate teacher, because it kind of opens you up to this sense of being really wholehearted in the way that you live. And if you've ever watched any of Brené Brown's amazing videos, she has one called Vulnerability on Netflix, I think that's what it's called. Her books are just incredible about the power of being vulnerable, and it really opens us up to the birthplace of something absolutely beautiful. So I wanted to ask you to reflect on a situation where you had been heartbroken, and I want to also invite you to think of a time where you had to make a big decision and your heart said one thing and your head said another. And we can become very conflicted between what our heart says and what our head says. And again, this whole purpose of this training is to be able to listen to our heart, to be able to know the difference between our ego mind, which is all up in our cranial brain, right? And our God self, our intuition that's coming from that non-local field, divine consciousness, like that's a guidance where we can start to tune into that, and we receive that through our heart. So how do we change our feeling state? well, we know that we can, hug each other. We can contribute to humanity and the planet. We can spread kindness. The more we do that, we feel fulfillment and a sense of love and joy and gratitude, and of course, sacred intimacy with your partner or loved one can also be a deep meditation, and a sense of connection and oneness. So really, the power of the heart allows us to have control over our feeling state and know that we can change our feeling state at any moment in time by using practices like heart congruence or by opening up our conscious awareness. So just in a situation that you're feeling challenged, could be a conversation you're having with a child, it's just asking that question, am I coming from a place of love? Am I coming from a place of fear? Love or fear? Love or fear? Because our fear is up in our head and love is in our heart. So we can start to have a deep sense of inquiry around, is it love or is it fear? Now, I want to talk a little bit about the scientific research behind the heart brain, because we know there's this interconnected oneness that I've spoke about in the last masterclass, and that really we're electromagnetic beings, and we are literally fields of energy. We are fields within fields within fields, and everything around us really is influencing us. So the chakras and the energetic centers I spoke about were these radars and sponges of energy. So we're really being influenced by everyone around us, even not just other humans, but nature and our environment is always influencing how we feel. And so when we start to privilege our heart brain and tune into our intuitive intelligence, which connects us to that united God mind, the infinite consciousness, we start to really understand that our heart is so much more than just a muscle. It doesn't just pump blood around our body. It's so much more than that. And I want to share with you something that's so beautiful. And anyone who's had a child knows that when you go and you see your baby's heartbeat for the first time, it's such a magical moment. And the way the heart is formed in the human body is a scientific mystery. At around 17 days of gestation, this little cluster of cells just kind of appears out of nowhere and becomes the human heart. And it's truly a miracle, really, how we are in, that sense of creation and that sense of the heart coming into being is actually unknown as to how this tiny little cluster of cells appears. The heart brain actually has about 40,000 neural cells as a cluster, and it's actually been measured that it can be up to 500 times greater than the cranial brain in terms of its electromagnetic field. Like, that's quite extraordinary. When we start diving into the research to see how powerful the heart is. And I also want to share with you a movie that I would invite you to watch. It's called The Power of the Heart. It's by Drew Harriet, who is also the director of The Secret, which was a big, very successful movie. And it's just got, Maya Angelou, Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, Oprah, really big spiritual thought leaders who were interviewed around the power of the heart. And there are incredible stories of people being in horrendous situations like genocide, or, there was a young man whose son had been shot dead, but there were stories of this amazing sense of compassion and forgiveness that came out of these situations, even in, really you couldn't even imagine how these people were able to practice forgiveness and compassion. But this is the power of the heart, and forgiveness is such a huge practice of this, and I will share with you a prayer that is incredibly powerful to practice forgiveness, and it's called the Ho'oponopono prayer. It's a Hawaiian prayer. Hawaii means breath of life, and really it's about practicing daily forgiveness towards ourselves and towards others. I personally use this whenever I have an ungraceful moment with my children or my husband, or or even with myself. And it's literally, you just place your hand on your heart and you just say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And the more we can practice forgiveness towards ourselves and others, the more we're going to feel more freedom. And that's ultimately what is on the other side of fear, is freedom. So I want to invite you to tune in now to your heart. And we do this really by placing one hand over our heart. And this practice of heart congruence is based on the method from the Heart Math Institute, which I invited you to go and check out their website. It's so phenomenal. They have an app now where you can go and do global heart coherence with thousands of people around the world. And when you actually practice it, it's like there's like a little light, and it's like the whole universe as you breathe in and out. And you really just feel this collective energy of everybody who's using this amazing practice to kind of tune into the power of the heart. Now, the practice we use with our clients is it is called heart congruence. So it's slightly different from heart coherence, but again, it's got just as much power. And the congruence really is about being congruent in your life with these teachings. And I shared the first law, which was the law of the one mind, the law of mentalism, that all is one. And now I will share with you the second law. And the second law is as above, so below, so within, so without. The law of correspondence. And what this means is that everything that's happening in your external world is a complete mirror or reflection of what's happening internally. And this is really powerful because the first law, the law of mentalism, states that everything we perceive to be true is created within our mind. Therefore, we have the power to change our reality by changing our perception. And then the next law teaches us that what's going on internally, our feeling state, is radiating out to the universal field, because we are in fields and fields and fields of energy, and we're all interconnected. And that is what is creating our reality. And so when we really understand that what's going on internally, if we're feeling angry and frustrated and we have anxiety, or we're blaming people, or we have resentment or judgment, or all of these really low vibrational feelings, if we're just constantly sending that out to the universe, that's what you're going to get more of in your life. So we can start to change our feeling state by tuning in to the power of our heart. So I invite you now to place one hand on your chest and closing your eyes if you feel safe to do so. And starting to turn your attention inwards, away from the outer world. Extend your breathing to the count of 5 on the inward breath and 5 on the outward breath. And then adjust to your own natural rhythm. When we place our hand on our heart, this signifies to our nervous system that we are safe and we can relax. Touching our body here brings our consciousness to this part of our physiology, our heart, and invites our mind to follow. Now, focusing on a feeling state of compassion, gratitude, appreciation, and care. Making a mental list of all the things you're grateful for in the last 24 hours of your life, no matter how small. A smile from a stranger, a cup of coffee, whatever it may be. And really allow yourself to fully embody these feelings without hesitation. Let yourself be consumed by these feelings. And I invite you to do this for as long as feels comfortable for you. Up to 3 minutes a day can have such a profound effect on your energy, because the effects can last for up to 6 hours. You may feel this field of energy surrounding your heart. And imagine that sense of expansion. And now I invite you to gently lower your hand, let go of the practice. And then just check in and see how you're feeling. Practice this as often as you can. You can practice with your eyes open or your eyes closed. It really doesn't matter. But the touch of the hand on the heart really signifies to open up that beautiful field of consciousness. So thank you for listening to the third masterclass. The next one, the final masterclass is really it's going to be about protection and spiritual fierceness and spiritual stamina, and why we can understand the laws of the universe and be tuned into our intuition and be overcoming our fear. But we have to have spiritual self-esteem to do that. We have to show up every damn day and do this work to get the full power of its effect. Like with any spiritual practice, it takes daily devotion. And I will be sharing other practices with you for the final masterclass. But please, if you would like to talk about the full 8-week training that I'm now offering, where we dive so deep into this, there's 8 90-minute lectures, and there's a theory and practice element. So we talk about these concepts that I'm sharing, and then we dive into meditative practices. Please book in a call with me. I would love to chat with you, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Bye.